Up to the second bracha in Bרכat Hamazon. We're in the middle of it. We're up to this, what we would call the second paragraph, the way it's printed in our Sidurim, of the Allah Koil Hashem Elokeinu Anachnu Moidim Lach. And for everything, we are Moidim to you. Now, what does it mean, Moidim to you? So if you look in most translate the word Moidim as we give thanks. We're giving thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But others explain the word Moidim is like I admit. I am moided to you. Right? Haidoas Baldin, the admission of a Baldin, the Gemara tells us, if a litigant admits that he owes somebody money, right? Someone who admits partially is called a Moida b'miktzas. When you admit to something, that's called being Moidim. We're admitting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we recognize that it all comes from Hashem. Not just thanking Him, but admitting means that I admit that I can't do it on my own, right? The Rishonim, it's interesting, the Rishonim point out, many Rishonim point out to the Pasuk in Tehillim, in Parakuf Mem, that we say the word Moidim Lach, or Moidim Lacha, because Al Shem Ach Tzadikim Yoidu L'Shmecha. The Pasuk says, Ach Tzadikim Yoidu L'Shmecha. If you look in Parakuf Mem, on that Pasuk of Ach Tzadikim Yoidu L'Shmecha, the Targum translates it, Baram Tzadikaya Yehoidun. That the Tzadikim are Yehoidun. And if you look at where else the Targum uses that word Yehoidun, you'll see by the pasuk of Yehuda Ata Yeducha Achecha also says Yehoidun. When Yehuda, it talks about Yehuda admitting to his brothers his fault and his mistake, that's called Yeducha. That's Yehoidun. That's Moidim. Moidim is admitting that something happened. It's admitting that we couldn't do something on our own. It's admitting, not just thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He did something for us, but it's admitting that we need HaKadosh Baruch Hu for us to have that which we have. That in order to have our food, we need HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? We're admitting it. So those are two simple pshatim that many Bali Musar go with that translation of Moidim Lach, Shatu Hashem Elokeinu in davening, that we admit that you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do everything for us, everything we need. But interestingly enough, there's a third pshat. The Rebbe Yakar says, here in Bentching, he says, it's a lashon of hishtachaveh. The word Moidim is a lashon of bowing. And he says, Lefisha Hiskir Torah ve'Eretz Yisrael. Since we mentioned Torah and Eretz Yisrael, we mentioned bowing. That we bow to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because the Medrash says, Le'nitna Torah ela b'schus hishtachaveh, v'le'nichnesu le'eretz ela b'schus hishtachaveh. We got the Torah, we got to go into Eretz Yisrael. Now a merit of bowing. And it's interesting that if you look back at Shemona Esrei, and how the Mefarshim explain Moidim in Shemona Esrei, we see something very similar. The Rebbe Yakar says, Moidim Lach, Ratzalaima, Mishtachavim. The Abu Jaham brings the Evan HaYachi, which is a Rishon from the middle 1100s, Pirush, Moidim, Mishtachavim. Mitagim inon v'shtachave el HaMelech u'maydina l'malka. We are admitting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's very interesting. We know the famous Gemara Bava Kama tells us that if a person doesn't bow by Moidim, eventually his vertebrae will turn into like a snake. Whatever that means. After 7 years, 70 years, it's a question in the Mefarshim how to understand the Gemara. We see from the Gemara Bava Kama how important it is for a person to remember to bow in Shemona Esrei by Moidim. And people wonder why. What's so special about bracha of Moidim, of giving thanks, that we have to bow? But this we could understand. Because if we understand that the translation of Moidim is to be Mishtachaveh, then we could understand that if we were saying the bracha al pia emes in Shemona Esrei, or even in Bרכat Hamazon, we should somewhat bow. Because if we don't bow, right? I mean, Shemona Esrei says you have to bow all the way. But even because it's saying I'm bowing. And what's bowing? And we all know this week that this Bentching Bite comes out. We just finished the passing of the queen. Right? When you come in front of a melech or a malka, it shows that you are respecting the king or queen and that you're beneath the king or queen by bowing. that you're, right? You bow. It shows respect. So not only are we giving thanks to the word Moidim, not only does the word Moidim mean we admit that we need that Kadosh Baruch Hu, but we submit, we bow, and we realize that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is above us. And we realize that everything we have is only from HaKadosh Baruch Hu.